Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
I'm in my zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it soul. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a walk for wherever the ball go. Tap the cue on the shoulder, that safety is coming over. I see that look in his eyes. If he slip, I'ma slide right under the tight end, curl over the right end. Long as the wide receiver block for me, I can jump right in. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown and this W and head home.
Welcome in, Cowboys Nation, to another year, another Game Day Live pregame show with your boy Skywalker Steel, Jesse Holley, season 4? Yeah. 4 seasons in, don't even feel like it. It feels like we just started this thing, and the excitement, you almost gotta get surprising. Hey, almost. Excitement is still, it's pretty live here. We are live, y'all, at Kansas Sports and Social for the first time. You know, every year we like to be at a specific spot, and I feel really excited about this. We're on a rooftop. Yes. Got a nice view. Nice view. Beautiful people. Like nice view in more ways than one. Yes, and I'll plead the fifth. I'll let Jesse Holley go ahead.
I just said nice view. I just we have a panoramic.
I'll let Jesse Holley have that. I plead the 1, 2, 3, 4 as I adjust the volume. Apologies, Cowboys Nation. Make sure we don't blow y'all ears out here. Okay, I think we straight, man. Like I said, Canvas. Appreciate y'all for being here. Sports and Social. It's new, just opened up in June, so make sure y'all come through, check us out every single Sunday. We'll be here prepping y'all for the Cowboys game. And speaking of Cowboys, man, they stole the headlines. I mean, this is what Dallas does, by the way. They steal the headlines, Jesse. The Cowboys signed Dak Prescott, extended Dak Prescott 4 years, $240 million, 231 guaranteed, 1 more mil above Deshaun Watson on the other side. Oh, petty, bro. I like it. $80 million just to put his name on a piece of paper, right? Right before the Cowboys kick off. Initial thoughts on the deal before we get all the way into specifics.
Yeah, congratulations to Dak Prescott. Yeah. You know, we've all with 9 years with Dak Prescott, and I've said on multiple occasions, there's not anyone who's more mentally tough than Dak Prescott, and we've seen his evolution and how he's evolved over time as a man, as a player. But this is what the NFL is now, and Dak deserves it. It's not like some people may try to put him in this category of bum, and rightfully so when it comes to the playoff success.
Yeah, the criticism in the playoffs
that's fine. But when you talk about quarterback in the National Football League, it's only 32 spots in this league for quarterbacks, and he has consistently found himself for a long time in the first top half, and now he's in, I would say, that top quarter of quarterbacks in the National Football League. So him getting his money is rightfully deserved. My only other criticism, and it's not towards him, it's towards the Joneses. What the hell took y'all so long? Because it's continued to be a pattern, right? Yeah. You're gonna pay them. You're going to pay them. You paid Zeke, you paid Zach, you paid
and you're going to pay them what they asked for in March. It's not like anything changed here, right?
Correct.
So and this happened with CeeDee Lamb. This happened with Dak. And again, maybe this is a conversation that a lot of shows will be having over the week, at least, Cowboy-centric shows will be having over the week. You could have saved yourself $40 million, was it?
$40 million.
$40 million on the cap to use that to get better from outside help, as opposed to the Joneses paying these players as reasons to not being able to. Because that was the biggest talking point for Jerry and Steven was, we got to get prepared for him to not have as much help. And it's like, well, Jerry, it doesn't have to be the case, man.
Right.
You know, if you handled business, you could use that to get better. But nonetheless, like you said, congratulations to Dak. He 100% deserves this. Some people don't understand the quarterback market, but if you go look out there, look at the market, he was going to get the bag regardless. You're always going to be in contention with Dak Prescott. Like, you're always going to be in contention when you have a franchise quarterback. And yes, I will, and I'm a huge fan of the player. I will admit, once we get to the playoffs, he has to do something to change that, get that stink away from him. Even though, you know, he's showed up, you know, from time to time, but there will need to be more consistency once you get there. You could say that for every other player on this damn team, but he is the quarterback of America's team with the star in the helmet. You know how the conversation's going to go, Jesse.
But here's the weird part about it. Like, if you go over the last, let's go 10, 15 years, like this, while the league is like full of parity as far as regular season stuff, when you start talking about championships,
it's only like a handful.
The names are very like, it's not many other people. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, and then you can splash in.
It's like one here and there. Russ and Stafford, who took him going to an organization that was aggressive and going after it.
Remember, it was F them picks. Right,
F them picks,
F them picks, and but it's not like this. Like every single year, they're picking a different champion. It's like, oh, well, yeah, you should be in that number. Like, it's not that. It's the names that you see winning championships, and from those organizations are pretty consistent over the last 10 years. Now, yes, Dak has to find his way and get his team in there, but it's not all on Dak. Football is the ultimate team sport, but it's also one of the most hypocritical when it comes down to the quarterback on both sides of the coin, right? Because when they win,
they get all the credit.
When they lose,
they get all the blame.
Right, and so that's the thing that, you know, about it. But hey,
he understands that, though.
Listen, when you give me $60 million a year,
you can say what you want.
Say what the hell you want about me.
Say what you want, man.
Because all I hear is the money counter, so I can't even hear the comments over the money counter. It just the money counter.
What'd you say now, Chuck? What was that? What'd you say now, Chuck?
All I know is that they call me Mr. Prescott when I walk into the bank.
Facts. what would you like? Would you like it in the savings? Check it. Well, it take 3 days to go to check it if I put it in savings. Just put it all in this account. Yeah. So shouts out to Dak, man. And, the Cowboys always have Super Bowl aspirations and will always have that pressure. And it begins today.
And let me say this. The one thing that when we talk about the Super Bowl aspiration and the pressure, the one thing that I think Dak is victim of is Dak, where he currently sits as the quarterback, the franchise quarterback, he's paying back taxes.
Yep.
Because Dak's not the reason they haven't been to the Super Bowl since 1996.
No,
or whatever it is.
But he's paying for 95 to 2016.
You see what I'm saying? So so all that, if you just took in a window, if you took the 8-year career of Dak Prescott, like, that puts him amongst elite conversations and people, right? I get the playoff. I understand that part. But, like, the wins in the regular season, the numbers that he's put up, if you just took his seasons with the Cowboys, you're talking about one of the best quarterbacks probably in NFL history, right? But when you statistically speaking, but when you put the back taxes on him and you put, right, because he now has to hold the stench of the Chan Gailey days, the Dave Campo days, the Bill. He has to hold that stink on him, and if he doesn't get it done, the next guy that comes in has to hold the stink of the rest of those guys, and it's unfair because I'm paying the total cost of something that I had nothing to do with. And he does 20 years of stuff that I had nothing to do with.
And he doesn't hide from it, right? That's the one thing I appreciate. He understands that, and that's why he said, "I want to win the Super Bowl here." It won't mean much. It won't mean as much for me if it's won somewhere else. And at the end of the day, if that had happened, it would mean a lot. But doing it here, hoisting the 6th Lombardi here, will put you in such a different stratosphere because of the struggles over the last 30 seasons for the Cowboys, who are looking to right that ship.
Yep.
Starting this week against the Browns. And look, I know he got the bread. And I understand, he's turned into, in my opinion, one of the most prolific passers in the league. This team is a passing team. But they're going up against one of the best secondaries, defenses against the pass, specifically at home. I heard a statistic, and this is not a typo, I don't believe. I went and looked it up. At the crib, they were giving up 116 yards, 116 passing yards. At home? Bro, I was like, you sure that's not rushing? That's crazy to me.
Right.
So what I did coming into this game, Jesse, I said, okay, let me go watch how they played at the crib and if this is legitimate. Because there was a lot of games where, hey, I see a 38 here, I see a 30. Like, these teams got after it. Like, what happened here? Well, different circumstances. But, yes, at home, this Browns defense brings an energy. They have, I think, the best trio of cornerbacks, right? And I think what you do best on offense, they do best on defense. And that is going to be a heavyweight matchup that I think Dak and McCarthy and Shoddy are going to have to strategically attack and not come out here and try to get, pass happy, in my opinion. I feel like there's going to have to be an element of the ground game complimenting these dudes, because the last thing you want to do after Dak gets this bread, drop him back 45 times, he struggles against his team, and now everybody is sitting here, wham, 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 wham. When in reality, whether he got paid or not, Jesse, this is going to be a tough matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at these teams are very similar. When you look at just the overall what the Cowboys are, what the Browns are, they have a lot of the same deficiencies, but also a lot of the same strengths. I think overall the quarterback play is what's going to differentiate this game. I think the Cowboys have head and shoulders. If this was 2020, we may have an argument on what that quarterback situation is, right? That was the last time we saw Deshaun Watson actually being a really good quarterback.
4 years ago.
Right. And so today, where we stand today, Dak is head and shoulders the better quarterback of the two. And so they have to come out today. Now, the one thing that offensively for the Cowboys, we talked about guys getting paid. CeeDee Lamb, newly minted paid wide receiver. My concern with CeeDee Lamb is, where is he at conditioning?
Stay there.
Okay.
Because you've been in camps, you've been in practices, you've led up to the season, and it's a perfect time to ask this. And you played the position. I, as a fan, and a little bit biased because I think CeeDee's 1-2, whatever you want to call it, receiver, and I think Dak is a top 5 type quarterback in this league. As a fan, I look at this and I'm like, they'll figure it. That'll be fine, right? But is there an element of, well, wait a minute, he's only been here for 2 weeks, going on the road. I get they've been in this offense for a few years or what have you, or at least 1 year with McCarthy. But is there a legitimate element of, hey, this might take a game or a half or whatever for them to get back in, especially against a defense who's now game planning against you?
Right.
It's one thing else.
Absolutely. I mean, just overall, it takes a lot of NFL teams who guys have been in camp together.
Hell, it's been sloppy the first 2 games of the season.
Absolutely. And so that's going to be a factor into it. And I think a lot of times what people sometimes miss when we talk about the conditioning, the football conditioning, and it's not like, I don't want you guys to think it's marathon type conditioning. It's if you and I right now were to wrestle, right, just tussle with one another for 2 minutes straight, and then you hit go and we had to come on the air and go live.
Be huffing and puffing.
You be huffing and puffing, right?
All you got to do is just sit on me because you're
right.
I can't. You're 6'3",
but for CeeDee, it's I got to go 100 miles an hour. I got a DB leaning on me, right? And then I gotta come back. I don't get a chance to go to the sideline or the period ends, and when they go to 9-on-7, I can go over. It's a consistent thing, and where the conditioning can sometimes mess with the connection and the timing is, I'm not as fast or as sharp as I want to be. So I may be a half a step or a step off or not as crisp because I may be a little gassed. My muscles may not have gotten 100% behind me. He's been working out on his own, but even in practices, getting up from a tackle, running 2 routes as you never get the ball and got to come back down, get back in the huddle for the 3rd one. So it's all of those things, and then doing it for 4 quarters, right? That's the difference, of it all for CeeDee Lamb and Dak. With those 2 guys getting together, the connection, they have a connection. They've been together for a while. But it's when you add that conditioning factor into it, can CeeDee Lamb be at his optimal best for long periods of time? And when he is winded, right, does he get out before he gets too winded, or is he still stuck in there? And now he doesn't have the extra gear to maybe go get one of those contested catches, or there's a lot that you have to do with that conditioning. So that's the one thing that worries me about it. Do I think they'll be able to connect? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely have some connection in this game. But the last time we saw them, there was a whole season, and they didn't have that.
Yeah.
Coming out. And it wasn't like you were going up against an amazing defense.
Right.
There was some weird disconnect there, and I'm sure they've addressed that. They've talked about that. But that is going to be in a lot of people's heads, right? Like, hey, last time we saw you, it took a while to get going, and it cost you early on because there were some costly turnovers, there was some drops, there was some pouting, and that's another thing that I think CeeDee understood. He understood, hey, man, I'm not just a young buck no more.
Pout no more.
I'm a veteran, and if people see that, they see me pouting like that, that's going to permeate throughout the rest of the roster.
Yeah.
And Micah talked about it too. His wasn't necessarily so much the pouting and the hands on the hip. It was his frustration and being mad. And you can't do that now. You guys are. I know Micah's still young-ish, right? But you're now you're those guys now, and I think and I hope. I know we've heard from Micah talk about this. He understands that. I would imagine CeeDee understands that now, and I'm hoping that's the next step I'm wanting to see with CeeDee. It's not even so much physically. The dude is amazing. He's physically gifted. But all right, brother, granted, Cooks is still in this room, but at some point he's not. You're going to be in year 5, 6 next year, and you're going to be the guy, hey, CeeDee, how do I X, Y, Z? And maybe you're not that vocal leader, but then they're going to look at your behavior on the field. So I am going to keep an eye on that. I get it. I understand context. Those guys haven't practiced and played a whole lot in the preseason and offseason. But I'm going to keep an eye on, if there is a disconnect, how do they bounce back from that in game? Because me personally, I don't want to drop Dak back 40 times in this game.
You shouldn't.
I'm looking, and I don't want to force it to CeeDee. I'm looking, Cowboys Nation, to, and this is going to sound weird because we got on this run game all offseason, this running back, this backfield, etc. But I am looking at the run game as a compliment, okay? I'm not saying you got to run it 40 times either. But I need them to complement the pass game, and I'm looking for somebody opposite of CeeDee to get going a little bit here, man. Well, we're going to need it.
To that point, one of the guys that I've talked about all off season is it's grow-up time. Jaylen Tolbert.
Yep.
Like, now's the time. Like, we cannot wait on you any longer. Like, you had your time to figure it out and have the mental mistakes and have confidence issues. This is the time. I firmly believe if this team is going to take the next step forward, and that means playoff wins deep into the playoffs, by mid-year, Jaylen Tolbert has to be the bona fide, solidified, number 2 wide receiver.
Oh, what?
And that's nothing against Brandon Cooks.
That's the one I made the pressure on.
Nothing against Brandon Cooks, but it's time. It's time. And not only is it time for that, it's also time for the Cowboys to go, Brandon Cooks, we appreciate you. If you decide to go else,
pass the torch.
This is the move. This is what you got brought here for.
Technically, Tolbert was supposed to take over, I think, anyway.
Yeah,
right?
so this
draft
is
him in his 3rd round.
This is the time. Like, now, we can't have any more 297-yard seasons.
Nah,
we can't have 3.
No way.
Bro, you got to be in the 700-800-yard mark. You got to be around 6 to 9 touchdowns for this football team this year. I'm telling you, by the time we get to the break, to the bye, we should feel like that boy number 1 going off. That boy Tolbert going off. Like, we should feel that way because you know what CeeDee's going to bring. And as he gets his sea legs back underneath him through the season, he's going to continue to grow. Like, CeeDee's going to be fine. Like, don't fret. CeeDee's going to be fine.
Yeah. Even if it's a slow start.
He's going to be fine.
It was a slow start last year. So.
Right. He's going to be fine. There's not going to be a drop-off for CeeDee Lamb. But there needs to be – because Brandon Cooks can't elevate anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he is what he is.
He is what he is at this point in time.
Now it's a matter of using him correctly for who he is now.
But now it has to be we're passing the torch. We're going to keep Brandon Cooks around. But now I need Jaylen Tolbert to be the explosive guy. I need you to be the guy who has exceptional range. I need you to have that leap that we thought Michael Gallup was going to have.
I would be perfect. Okay? Because I love the pressure you're putting on him. I love that because I want him to exceed that. But for me, if he's better than Michael Gallup, you won that trade-off, if that makes sense. Because I think he's here, or not here, but this year, you want him to be better than who your wide receiver 3 was last year, right? Michael Gallup. But if the expectations, and Dak did the same thing you just did, actually. He put the pressure on him. He said in training camp, hey, Jaylen Tolbert, you need to go show them you could be wide receiver 1. Not wide receiver 2, not wide receiver 3, or wide receiver 1. So maybe I should have higher expectations for the young man because he is a third-round pick. He is progressing in preseason, right, in training camp to the point he ain't played in preseason.
Right.
Okay, so that was interesting. So yeah, there is something to that. You know, you might have persuaded me here to put even more pressure on Tolbert to eventually be the second guy.
And I think he wants to be great. Like,
yeah, right.
I don't think Jaylen is running from the smoke, right?
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
it's time. Like I think that's the biggest thing as we look at this roster. These are the guys that you talk about. We need these guys to play better. Right, we need because now,
especially because we don't go out and get those type of guys. Yeah,
but into the Cowboys' credit, and I think you'll agree on this. One thing they do really well is the homegrown people. They develop.
They draft and develop.
They draft and develop. Not every draft pick, and that's where people will go like, well, what about Taco? Or what about? But I can name 5 others.
No, yeah, you're not wrong.
For every Taco, there's a Deron Bland. For every, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can go back and forth about, but they draft guys and develop them, and I think that's the part. Maybe sometimes they lean a little bit too much on.
That's the thing, right? Like they definitely draft and develop well. The issue is because they don't go out and get aggressive elsewhere. Now, this is where my expectations raise a little bit. You draft and develop well, but you got to be even better because you don't do what some of these other teams do.
Yeah.
So Jaylen, Tolbert, that third-round pick, we need you to be our wide receiver 2 of the future, so we don't got to go pay one.
And we see the talent. Like it's not like we're asking for something that is not there.
Yeah.
We've seen it. We watched it in training camp. You see the flashes of it in games. It's just a level of him being consistent and doing it in a consistent manner.
Shouts out to Canvas Sports and Social. We're here live, Game Day Live. Week 1, Cowboys-Browns kicking off here in about 25 minutes. I'm going to go with a different receiver, though.
Oh.
I'm going to go with a different receiver, not necessarily to be wide receiver 2, but just for today's game. And for those who watch my morning show, you might be saying, well, Will, you're just trying to confirm your priors. Guess what? You're right. You're absolutely right. I want to come back here after the show and be like, I told you so, even though I'm not a told you so guy. But y'all kind of pushing me that way.
I am a told you so guy. Just want to let y'all know.
I am a told you so guy.
I am a told you so guy.
But I feel like there's a villain arc coming from this year, so it might happen.
Okay.
Yeah, it might happen.
All right. Put your Venom mask on.
So I might the Venom. Yeah. Is it Venom?
Is it who's
no? I don't think it's the Black Spider-Man.
Is that what it is? Oh yeah.
No,
I'm sorry. I don't. Listen.
Don't
I'm the
ask
last
Jesse
guy.
about no damn
I'm the last. Whatever CD put on, whatever that guy CD had on his Instagram, that's the one I'm talking about.
Villain CD.
Yes.
So it's not Cooks either, by the way.
Okay.
Although I would love to see Brandon Cooks step up in this game.
You about to reach deep down in the bag.
I'm reaching.
You reaching
Hold
down.
on, let me get him just
about. Yeah, you reaching deep down in the bag, bro.
Kavante Turpin is the X factor today, Jesse.
Wow.
Hear me out. Cowboys Nation, hear me out, okay? 116 yards passing through the air at the crib. That's the defense. That's what the Browns defense gives up. That means it's gonna be tough. Mm-hmm. In week 1, go look around the league. Now, granted, the Packers and the Eagles left their defenses at the States, so they didn't have no defense.
They didn't make it through customs.
They didn't make it through customs. They must have had some drugs or something in their bags. I don't know. But it's been tough, and you're going up against a tough defense. So usually throughout the season last year, what I would say is when things got tough, Buffalo, Miami, San Fran, early in the season, I'm like, why don't you just give the ball to Turpin? He's a cheat code. Reverse, end around, jet sweep, out the backfield, get him in motion. He's in man like in San Francisco, boom, throw deep. Turpin could literally have 90-something yards total in 2 or 3 touches.
Yeah.
So you don't really need to give him 7, 8, 9 touches, but you need to throw him in there purposefully, even if it's as a ghost motion, even if it's just as a distraction or whatever, to a mirage to throw off this aggressive defense. And when you're playing against an aggressive defense like this, I went and looked at some of the teams, the Rams and the Niners, when they played them, the Texans and teams like that, and even Seattle. These teams use that type of motion and aggressiveness against them, and they use those type of players to get big plays. So, look, it might be tough, but you might only need a few big plays, and I feel like Kavante Turpin can give you that if you deliberately involve him in this game.
No, it goes back to a game a couple of weeks ago when you saw Xavier Worthy for the Chiefs. And it's similar to the way they use him. All that speed and athleticism, it's like just give him the ball in some space and let him do what he does.
Speaking of which, apologies. definitely want to talk about inactive. See, we knocking off some rust too.
Yeah.
Okay, we knocking off some rust too. I usually get the inactives to you guys immediately. Let me see if I can find that real quick here.
We don't have to worry about Noah inactive this year.
No Noah inactive.
No Noah inactive this year.
Who's going to be our inactive guy this year? Who do you think that's going to be?
Y'all don't want me to say it.
Oh, are we getting messy, Justin?
Y'all don't want me to say it. He's not inactive today.
Okay.
But like I told y'all last year, you're gonna see a lot of DMPs.
Oh, don't you say?
You're gonna see a lot of DMPs.
Who?
Number 42.
You're not gonna do my short king like that.
Number 42.
You're not gonna do my short king.
It started out the same way last year.
Jesse.
He was active the first 1 or 2 games, and all of a sudden, those DMPs started to mount up.
All right, here's the inactives for the Cowboys versus the Browns. John Stevens Jr., he's got the hamstring issue, so he didn't practice all week.
He's another one.
He's out.
He's another one that talked about that might take that step. Whenever he gets in that rotation, he could be a guy who could
threaten a certain guy.
Just not threaten a certain guy, but be an additional piece.
Yeah. 100%. I wish he was.
No, he's not threatening.
First, no. Nice like that.
No. Okay. I don't. Please, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying this could be a guy who we're not talking about as much. Who at you look up,
at some point you're like, he got 500 yards.
Yeah,
he got 400 or 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. Yeah. Oh, okay.
I would love, if he would have played, I would have loved for him to have a Martellus Bennett rookie year. If I remember correctly, Bennett had like 4 tutties. He only had a couple hundred yards, but it was a red zone threat. Yeah.
You
know what I'm saying? And you play with Marty B. Yeah. So Andrew Booth is inactive. Matt Let's go. Inactive. So that means you'll have Austin Richards as your left tackle, swing tackle, I'd imagine. Ryan Flournoy. Okay, a fan favorite. I like Ryan Flournoy. I thought he would be the last wide receiver on the team, but I thought maybe they'd go 6 during game day. They're not going 6. They're going 5. Which, look, it doesn't shock me, y'all. I know we love the young guys that haven't played yet and things like that, but in reality, when you're the 6th wide receiver, it's going to take injuries to get going 9 times out of 10. So it doesn't shock me he's inactive. Buddy Johnson is inactive. Interesting, because they called up Nick Virgil.
Yep.
You saying that right?
Yeah, Vigil.
See, I'm a wrestling fan. And Virgil is a wrestler from the 80s and 90s.
Nick Vigil,
not Virgil, my wrestling heads out there. Nick Vigil. If you know the money man, Ted DiBiase, he was the guy that was with him. Everybody's got a price. That's what, Jerry and I was saying. And then, Trey Lance. I want to be petty, but we don't have time to be petty. Okay. So I will save my pettiness for this week. Just for the week.
All right.
For the week, because I might be petty every day. I don't know.
Okay.
Tune into the morning show if you want do-rag petty sky. This is nothing against most Cowboy fans. It's a sector of Cowboy fans. Trey Lance is inactive, but he is the emergency quarterback, so he will have a jersey on. Shouts out to you, Trey. So those are it.
Buddy Johnson's another one of the guys, when we look up at the end of the year, you're going to see significant contribution from Buddy.
I thought he'd be a special teams guy.
Yeah, he's going to play some special teams, but I just think this is going to be a name at the end of the year. You're going to be like, let me say this, and this is not like something that a lot of people know and understand. This is going to be one of the guys, Buddy Johnson, when he looks up at the end of the year, when you get your player performance bonus. A lot of people don't know about that. Like,
hey, coach, let me get a couple snaps.
Like at the end of the year, there's a player performance bonus when your salary is low because they don't expect you to play a lot of plays, so kind of make up for it if you're playing an excessive amount of play. Deron Bland, right? Yeah. He got one. This is going to be a guy when we look back on it, weeks 8, 9, 10, or 10, 11, 12, 13, and on. You're going to see that name just consistently in the rotation of people doing stuff. I like Buddy.
Let's keep an eye on Buddy. I wonder if because it's week 1, Nick Vigil played under Paul Gunther for years. He knows the system.
Yeah,
they're just trying to get a guy that understands the system.
For sure.
So kind of bury the lead when it comes to this Cowboys offense. We're going to end off with the Cowboys offense against the Browns defense before we switch real quick. Kind of bury the lead. One of the biggest matchups that have been talked about all week was your rookie, Tyler Guyton, going up against, I don't even have a word for this man anymore. I probably shouldn't even watch no film on him because it just made me feel a little bit worse. Yeah. I should have just went along with, he's defensive player of the year. He's a good player. That's all I need to know. No. I watched tape. Why? I don't know why.
He's special.
And I got a little nervous.
He's special.
Okay. Guyton, you're my guy, dog. Like, I want you to trust and believe me. I want nothing more for you to go out there and shut this man out. But I'll be a plumb fool if I believe, we just going to let young man, number 60, just deal with 95, all that. So this has been my saying. I'm realistic. He's going to win some reps. He's going to lose some reps. Survive 95. That's
like
all
that.
I need him to do today, bro.
I might steal that.
Survive 95, and I think he'll be all right. But to do that, they're going to have to use some help, right? They're going to have to put some tight ends. So I was thinking maybe they go a bit more 12 personnel in this game to combat Myles Garrett, for those who don't know who 95 is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you talk about Myles Garrett, the reigning defensive player of the year, and when you turn the tape on, there isn't anything that he can't do. He has speed. He has power. He has a toolbox of different moves. He can translate speed to power, power to speed. And for a rookie who, while yes, he faces Micah in practice.
But Micah's a different rusher.
And it's a different rusher.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing goes back to, he may see Micah in practice, and it may be for the entire practice, 8 snaps. That he actually sees Micah. This gonna be
65, 70.
He gonna see Miles about 30, 40 snaps of that 60.
And so for reference, he plays 85% of the snaps on the offense's left side, defense's right. So this isn't, yes, they'll move him around, right? Like the 15% he'll go battle Terrence. And a lot of people are worried about Terrence, and that's equally, to me, he's a problem for any of these dudes.
That's your cousin.
Okay?
That's
and
your
I'm
cousin.
not trying to
That's
trying to defend Cuzzo.
That's
because he is first cousin.
Yeah.
Okay, he redeemed himself in the Packer game. He beat back at the grown folk table. But here's my thing: we've seen Terrence go up against beast of defenders for 4 years now. Win or lose, you've seen it, and you've seen him win. He as in Tyler has never won up against a Myles Garrett. So it's if you have the confidence, in reality, it's blind optimism, and that's fine. Fans, we have that as fans. But for me, it's like, I just want you to survive 95.
No, you're right.
So he's going to play over there 85% of the time.
And surviving comes from, Mike Solari, who's the offensive line coach, Shoddy, who's the offensive coordinator, and then Mike McCarthy. Don't Chaz Green this kid.
Don't do that.
Right? Like, don't get so arrogant in yourself and in your scheme that you think we're just going to play it normally and how we play it, and that's just going to be what it is. Like, give this kid a chance. Allow this kid to build some confidence in this game. To your point, he's going to lose some battles. He's going to win some battles. Like, and this is the thing that's about offensive linemen. You can have 70 snaps in a game and be great for 67 of them.
I'm 3, might cost
and those 3 can cost you. Yeah. And that's all we'll see, right? On the surface, we'll go, oh, man, that was a strip sack fumble. That was a crucial fumble. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference between the offensive line. So, Mike McCarthy, to your point earlier, establish that run. Allow him to be the attacker and not the attackee, right? Allow him to go forward and lean on Myles Garrett a little bit, right? Also, don't be afraid to put that tight end over there. Hey, running back.
Yeah,
when you go, before you leave out,
rip shot.
Give him a little rip. Don't miss. Don't close your eyes and you miss. You know what I'm saying? Hey, QB, we're gonna roll this thing out right. There's a multitude of things that you can do. Hey, offensive line, we're going elephants on parade left. We're gonna slide the whole line left to make sure that we're kind of lockstep to kind of make Myles have to work a little bit more. Don't forget about Zadarius Smith on the other side. But surviving 95 is not going to be just a Tyler Guyton thing.
No,
it is a collective thing from the Cowboys play callers, offensive line coach, and running back.
Quarterback.
It's
quarterback
everything.
Too. You got to help him out.
It's everything, and allow this kid to build some confidence throughout the game. And there's going to be some periods of time we're going to be like, hey, listen, young fella, on this play,
I need you.
You give me what you got, but you're going to be out there by yourself. You know what I'm saying? And Dak got to know, hey, this ball got to come out right now.
Right. Yeah, and I noticed that in some of the tape that I was watching, there's 1, 2, 3, and it's out. Yeah. There's no holding the ball against this team. But they can take advantage of some things. I know they have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah who's a fantastic linebacker, and they signed, I think it was Jordan Hicks. But I think you can get down the seams a little bit from time to time. They play a lot of cover 1. They might switch it up now, year 2 in short scheme. But there's going to be opportunities, and there's going to be 50-50 balls these wide receivers are going to have to win against these corners. These corners aren't going to make it easy.
No, they're not. But you said this earlier, alluded to it earlier. We talked about the things that they do really well defensively. The Cowboys do really well offensively. When it comes to the man-to-man coverage, when it comes to the blitzing, Dak
he'll eat it up if you don't get home.
He will, like what Denzel say, hey, Jake, I'm surgical with this thing. I'm surgical with this thing. You know what I mean? And I think that's where Dak can really sting
If they
him.
stay in there, if they stay in that type of coverage all game, yeah, he'll go off. What you have to watch for is Schwartz is he's a madman sometimes.
Yep.
It'll look like that, and it'll come out, cover 0, cover 1, and it's totally different.
Right.
And that might throw you off. So that cat and mouse between McCarthy, Schwartz, Dak is going to be key too, not just the protection up front.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. But in the newly paid man in Dakota Rain, I trust.
Facts. I mean, that's when we switch it over here in a second. That's where I think the advantage is. You got the quarterback advantage.
Yeah.
You have the quarterback advantage. That quarterback though is going to have to help out his other rookie, the center, Cooper Beebe, getting his first start this week against a very veteran defensive group. I called it, and I didn't look across the schedule, but this might be the most veteran defensive line you're going to see. And Quentin Jefferson's like a 13-year pro. Dalvin Tomlinson been here for 8-9 years. Zadarius Smith been here forever. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year, been here forever. This is a very veteran defensive group with a veteran defensive coordinator who's going to press that center and that left tackle.
And see, for me, if my area of concern on the offensive line, it was less Tyler Guyton and more Cooper Beebe because of the fact of how our quarterback plays. Dak Prescott, he wants to keep the middle of that pocket clean. When Dak gets a chance to step up in that pocket and deliver the ball down the field, it's one of the best in the entire National Football League.
And that's a great point. You think Cooper is going to give? I think he's going to give more protection for that as opposed to Biotish.
No. I'm not saying that he won't. I'm saying that we might be looking on them trying to scheme on the outside. Like I'm looking at now. Will they try to find ways to
confuse them?
To not even confuse them, but have those matches where I got both of those tackles over those guards, right, over Tyler Smith and over Zach Martin, and now Cooper has no one to lean on. Right now, you got to dance with the devil a little bit.
You play help guy or you one-on-one with somebody.
Exactly. So now I think they want to have Cooper dance with the devil a little bit. From Jim Schwartz's perspective, because now what happens is if I got two guys on the guards and I line Zadarius and I line Miles out in those wide nines,
they go wide.
Now my tackles have to do what? Get out.
They have to get out
right?
fast.
And now my guards have to have this man-to-man situation happening, and that creates a little bit of space because if the tackles begin to rush on the upfield shoulder, what does my guard have to do? I now have to move upfield with that guy, and if they bring that linebacker or someone else to have to deal with Cooper, again, he's going to be like Tyler Guyton. He's going to win some. But if that pocket is now collapsing a little bit and Dak takes his eyes off the field and now looking down because the center is kind of a little bit shifty, I think that's where my biggest concern is them trying to get Cooper Beebe off his game because that now directly impacts, because Dak's really good at seeing that come off that edge, step up, move left, move right, and then deliver the pass. But when it's up the middle, it's when you see his balls come sometimes sail a little bit off target, and they're going to play that sticky coverage.
He's not like Jordan Love was throwing off his back foot all game because he got the arm arrogance to do it. That's not Dak's game.
No, Dak wants to. When Dak sets and can step into that throw, and his hit map, if he can get that going.
Yeah.
He's one of the best in the business.
And closing on that, because that's a great point. The one thing, because Cooper Beebe's power is going to be, I think, going to be great. The one thing I did notice was he's going to need a little more experience, is when he has to play help guy. He was finding guys in preseason. There was times where he was a little late, and that guy got inside shoulder, and now it's pressure on Trey Lance. So keep an eye on that. Schwartz attacking him with games and stunts up front.
You got a bunch of like the TTs.
TE and TTs.
TTs and TE, like, trust me, like
tackle ends for those who
you gotta. That's where we gotta watch that. Like, keep an eye on that, because they're not gonna try to match you strength for strength every single time, because he'll win a lot of those battles strength for strength. It's now you're gonna have to be an athlete, and that's what it's the opposite for Guyton, right? If you want to, he'll dance with you, and he can still be a little bit strong. But for the inside is Cooper, he can dirt you. But you got to make sure now you can dance with some of them people on the inside when they throw those games at you.
Yeah, to me, that's the heavyweight matchup, this Cowboys offense against the Browns defense. The undercard matchup, but just as important, is the Cowboys going up against what I think is an inferior Browns offense. Like, when we look, the reason why we spend so much time about Cowboys offense against that defense, because I think they match up really well.
Yeah.
Maybe the Browns might have an advantage early on because rookies or whatever, and defense is usually ahead. But the Cowboys got players that can go out there and make plays for you. I know Amari's out there, and that's something to worry about. Don't get me wrong. And the David Njoku is there, but run game Moses isn't there. So I'm really interested to see how that run game, goes with the new offensive coordinator, new
and
offensive line
when
coach.
he says run game mode, Bill Callahan.
Bill Callahan.
Yes.
Not what the Browns are.
Yeah. Anywhere Bill Callahan goes, the team's run game is better.
Yeah, and Nick Chubb's not there.
Right.
Jerome Ford is returning, who held it down decently, but he's not Nick Chubb.
No.
Okay, no Kareem Hunt. So the backup situation not the same. They did sign Donta Foreman. And again, I don't want to gloss over Amari, okay, because that matchup between Amari and Diggs is going to be fun to watch. I like the matchup. I know Diggs is returning from injury as well, but they know each other, right? Both sides, they know each other. But it comes down to who's delivering the damn ball to him. You can know him all you want. When you pressure Deshaun Watson, he becomes one of the worst quarterbacks in the National Football League. That's statistically speaking. That's on film. It's all there for you. And they are going to be without their left tackle.
Yep.
And yes, as Cowboys fans, we're talking about Guyton against Miles. The Lions going up against whoever the hell they put over. So he's
the assassin.
He's the Lion assassin now. So we got to come up with a new nickname for that.
Yeah.
We got to come up with a new nickname.
We'll figure it out. We'll workshop it.
But the assassin, that is Micah Parsons now, y'all. He don't want to be a killer because the killers are sloppy. He don't want to be hitman because they get caught.
They get caught. Oh, you know they're coming.
You know they're coming, but the assassins, you don't know. I mean, his analogies, it was fun. Anyway, no Jedrick Willis, who wasn't very good anyway. They may put Jack Conklin, who's the right tackle on that side, and they may put DeJuan Jones, who's a big fella, about 6'9", 6'10", almost 400 pounds over there. They're going to have to back up at left tackle. I know, and I said this on my show, I know it was brought up on yours. I know I want to move Mike around, and I'm with it. I'm with getting him involved across the line of scrimmage. Sometimes, throwing a wrench there to, snap, Micah drop back pick, right? But, y'all, if he's going up against food all day, and it's working, he's eating, you play find the scrub. Shouts out to my bro, Vosh Lombardi. You play mouse in the house.
Yes.
If we were doing a mouse in the house, it's Micah Parsons versus whoever that left tackle is to pressure Deshaun Watson all damn day, because Deshaun will give you opportunities if he's pressured.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's been some talk about, Micah being moved around in different spots. And I'm not opposed to Micah being able to be moved around. What advantage that it gives the Cowboys defense is that he's not lined up in the same spot every single time, so that offenses can game plan that, right? Yeah. So I get it, moving him. Now, I'm not a fan of Micah in coverage. I just don't want him in coverage. Not that he can't be in coverage. I think he's much more effective going forward, whether it be in the run game or even in the passing game.
That is fair. Let me also add. Let me add to this. I don't really care for Mike. He can do it, I think, but I would rather him do these two things. Obviously, rush the passer, right? But if he's going to play off ball, Micah, we haven't seen consistently since his rookie year because we haven't seen it. Micah's an absolute menace, closing down on running backs out the backfield and closing down. Say it's a stretch play. He'll close that gap.
Yeah.
And I think fans will get a little excited once they see him doing that. So I actually like him off ball if they're going to run it. But if they're throwing it and they may be audible to a throw, and now Mike is just having to float around in the middle of the field, that's cringe a little bit because y'all want him to go get the quarterback.
And that's my only thing about it. That I'm not saying that he cannot play the position. I'm not saying that Micah is athletic enough that if you give him time, he can play safety in this league. Yeah. If you gave Mike enough time, he can go and play tight end in this league, right? And so athleticism is 100% not in question when it comes to Micah, but this is what's going to be the new normal, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like for Micah. Being able to move him around. And this is the only thing sometimes when you talk about him playing linebacker, we haven't shown the propensity for someone else to be a game wrecker.
Well, that was my whole talking point. Who's going to rush the passer?
Who's going to be the game? And that's what Micah brings. Micah brings a situation where now Osa gets to get off. Now guys like D-Law
Nealon now as a young buck.
Yeah, like those guys get off now because they get more of the one-on-one matchups. Micah's the one dude on that entire defense that can create that sort of havoc.
War daddy.
He is. And so that's my biggest thing is that if he's off the ball, fine. But who is going to be the guy now that, because no matter how good Micah is, that if he had to play out in space and out in coverage for 3, 4, 5 seconds, you're toast.
That's where Schwartz. I'm not sorry. Mike Zimmer comes into play this year, because Dan Quinn had a lot of fun, different looks or whatever. But Zimmer, I think he's more purposeful in how he's rushing the passer now. Right, double A gap.
Yep.
Now I'm forcing 4 guys to cover 3 because the way it looked. Now Micah's 1-on-1. Now my cornerback's blitzing. So this is where Schwartz is going to have to. Damn, I keep saying Schwartz. Zimmer is going to have to really show his worth here in Dallas. Is when not just when Micah is not rushing the passer, but when the pass rush may not be getting home that day. Can you come back, adjust to find a different way to make it work?
Yeah, and like guys up front defensively, and I mean this in the most respectful way possible, outside of Micah Parsons, a lot of guys, when it comes to moves, are one-trick ponies. Right? I'm saying outside of Micah.
Yeah.
Micah is the one guy who has a variety of moves, and so he's able in any situation to get home because of
he's the juice, bro.
His toolbox.
He is the only juice rusher you have, in my opinion. You lost the Fowlers of the world, Randy, a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying? You lost that type of extra juice. Got Sam Williams went down. So now it's Mike as a guy. But Nealon, I think as the year progresses, he'll add more to his bag as well. Real quick, as kickoff is about to begin here in a second, let's go ahead and give our Cowboys win if, Cowboys lose if.
I will say this, my ifs are the same.
Okay.
But different. Cowboys win if the ifs show up.
Ooh.
Defensively, there's a lot of ifs. What is Zimmer's scheme, right? If that works for this team, how will they be successful? We talk about if Trayvon Diggs is back to where he's supposed to be. If if Carson is,
young man's gonna have
if
his
he's
hands
the
full.
next one in line, right? We had Diggs, we had Bland. I talked to Al Harris in training camp, and he told me I got another one, meaning Carson. If he steps up into that spot, because he's going to have, I don't think Diggs is going to shadow. If Diggs doesn't shadow, guess what? They're going to put Amari Cooper on you, young fella, and you're getting ready to go against one of the route gods. And you got to be ready to deal with the route god, his patience, his precision, and all of those things. And then the same thing offensively. If Tyler Guyton is going to be who he's going to be, then that's going to work for them.
Cowboys win if they are clean offensively. This game in the first game of the seasons are usually sloppy, and you really cannot afford to be sloppy against that defense because they'll make you pay. So clean to me means we don't have 10 penalties. Okay, you're not 2, 3, 4 turnovers in this game. If it ends in a kick, that's a dub in my opinion against this defense. Whether it's a punt, a field goal, or an extra point, if it ends in a kick, you're winning this. The Cowboys lose if they don't survive 95. That's just, I've seen this man wreck games by himself. I'm so confident I come back and I could be eating crow. I'm so confident the Cowboys defense being able to handle business. So if you notice my ifs, it's about the Cowboys offense being able to handle their business against that solid defense. So they win if they're clean. They lose if they don't survive 95, Cowboys Nation.
All right, game's underway. It's already started. Cowboys already have their first penalty